Have you ever felt like the economic news you consume is a tangled mess of contradictions? One moment, headlines scream about robust job growth and resilient consumer spending. The next, you're reading about recession fears, rising interest rates, and persistent inflation. This isn't just a fleeting observation. It's a pervasive sense of unease that many business owners, students, consumers, and investors are experiencing. This constant barrage of conflicting information can be deeply unsettling. It makes planning difficult, decision-making uncertain, and can even lead to a sense of personal inadequacy. You might wonder if you're missing something crucial, or if the experts themselves are simply guessing. The truth is, this confusion is not a personal failing on your part. It's a natural, albeit uncomfortable, characteristic of economic transitions. This video is designed to help you cut through the noise and understand precisely why the economy feels so confusing right now. We aim to provide a calm, objective, and analytical framework for interpreting economic information. Our purpose is to educate, reduce anxiety, and empower you to make sense of the data, even when it appears contradictory. By the end of this discussion, you will gain a clearer perspective. You will understand why economic signals often conflict during periods of significant change. We will explore why different sources, all seemingly confident, can arrive at vastly different conclusions. Most importantly, you will learn how to interpret economic information more calmly, moving beyond sensational headlines and speculative predictions. This is not about forecasting the future or predicting market movements. Our goal is not to instill fear or urgency. Instead, this is about understanding the underlying dynamics that generate confusion during specific economic periods. It's about equipping you with the tools to stay oriented and make informed decisions, regardless of the prevailing uncertainty. In times of economic stability, the narrative often feels straightforward and easy to grasp. Growth rates are consistent, inflation behaves within expected ranges, and employment trends follow predictable patterns. During such periods, economic data tends to align, painting a coherent picture that is relatively simple to interpret. However, economic transitions are fundamentally different. These periods are characterized by an overlap of conditions. Old economic structures and trends begin to fade, while new ones are simultaneously emerging. This dynamic interplay means that the data no longer speaks with a single, unified voice. Instead, the economic data presents itself in layers, reflecting these coexisting realities. Some indicators might still reflect the momentum of the past, while others are already signaling shifts towards the future. This inherent duality is a primary source of the confusion we experience today. One significant reason for the current confusion stems from how we often discuss the economy. It's frequently treated as a monolithic entity, a single system that moves in one direction. In reality, the economy is a complex tapestry woven from countless interconnected, yet distinct, systems. These various systems operate at different speeds and respond to stimuli in unique ways. For instance, households experience economic conditions through their personal budgets and job security, which can differ significantly from the perspective of large corporations navigating global supply chains. Small businesses, often more sensitive to local conditions and credit availability, face different challenges than multinational enterprises. Financial markets, driven by investor sentiment and future expectations, can react swiftly and dramatically. In contrast, labor markets, influenced by demographics, skills gaps, and long-term hiring trends, tend to adjust much more slowly. When people refer to the economy, they are often highlighting just one specific facet or sector. This leads to a multitude of narratives, each partially true, yet collectively creating a confusing and fragmented picture. A common source of frustration arises from the perceived disconnect between official economic data and our daily lived experiences. Economic data, by its very nature, is a summary and aggregation of past activity. It provides a statistical snapshot, often with a time lag, of what has already occurred. Your personal experience, however, is immediate and visceral. It reflects the current prices you pay at the grocery store, the cost of filling your gas tank, or the ease or difficulty of finding a new job. This fundamental difference between aggregated past data and real-time personal experience creates a significant tension. Consider inflation statistics. For example, official reports might indicate that inflation is cooling or has significantly improved from its peak. Yet, when you go shopping, the prices of everyday goods might still feel elevated and burdensome. Both observations can be entirely accurate. The data measures the rate of change in prices, indicating that prices are rising more slowly. Your experience, however, reflects the absolute level of prices, which remain high compared to previous years. Understanding this crucial distinction can alleviate a great deal of personal frustration and help contextualize economic news more effectively. One of the most overlooked yet fundamental aspects of economic analysis is the pervasive influence of time lags. Economic policies and market forces do not produce immediate effects. Their impacts ripple through the system over extended periods. This delay is a critical factor contributing to the current sense of confusion. For instance, changes in interest rates, implemented by central banks, do not instantly alter consumer spending or business investment. It can take many months, sometimes even over a year, for these policy adjustments to fully work their way through the economy. Similarly, employment figures, often considered a lagging indicator, typically react to changes in economic conditions well after other metrics have shifted. Businesses usually reduce hiring or lay off staff only after a downturn is clearly established, and they increase hiring only once recovery is firmly underway. Because of these inherent delays, various economic indicators rarely move in perfect synchronicity. Some indicators provide a backward-looking view, summarizing past performance. Others offer a snapshot of the present moment, reflecting current activity. Still others attempt to project future trends, often based on surveys or leading indices. During periods of transition, these indicators are almost guaranteed to diverge, creating a fragmented and often contradictory picture. This asynchronous movement is a normal feature of economic cycles, but it can be profoundly unsettling for those seeking a clear, unified narrative. The cacophony of expert opinions often adds another layer of confusion. You might hear highly credentialed economists or market strategists offering confident, yet opposing, viewpoints. This doesn't necessarily mean one is right and the other is wrong, or that someone is intentionally misleading. It often reflects the inherent specialization within the field of economics. Experts typically focus on specific domains. Some dedicate their careers to understanding labor markets, analyzing employment trends, wage growth, and participation rates. Others specialize in inflation dynamics, dissecting supply chain issues, consumer demand, and monetary policy impacts. Still others concentrate on financial conditions, examining stock market valuations, bond yields, and credit availability. And a separate group might focus on corporate earnings, business investment, and sector-specific performance. Each expert, operating within their specialized domain, may be providing an entirely accurate assessment based on their specific data and models. However, when these specialized perspectives are brought together, they can appear to conflict because they are describing different facets of a complex, multidimensional system. The economy is not a single puzzle piece. It's a vast mosaic. Each expert is meticulously describing their particular tile, and while each description is valid, the overall picture can seem disjointed until you understand how the pieces fit together. This situation highlights that complexity has temporarily replaced the simpler, more unified narratives of stable periods. Human beings are inherently uncomfortable with ambiguity and uncertainty. Our cognitive processes are wired to seek patterns, create narratives, and arrive at clear, definitive conclusions. When faced with a situation as complex and unpredictable as an economic transition, this innate preference for clarity becomes particularly pronounced. We naturally gravitate towards simple explanations, single causes, and confident pronouncements. This psychological need for certainty is often amplified during periods of economic flux. When the economy fails to provide these clear narratives, people instinctively search for them, often turning to media or experts who offer the most definitive-sounding answers. This psychological dynamic explains why commentary often becomes louder and more assertive during transitions. It's not necessarily because genuine clarity has suddenly emerged. Rather, it's precisely because clarity is missing that the demand for it intensifies. This creates an environment where bold predictions and strong opinions, even if contradictory, gain traction because they offer a temporary sense of certainty in an otherwise confusing landscape. Recognizing this human tendency helps us approach economic news with a more critical and discerning eye. A crucial perspective to adopt when navigating current economic confusion is to understand that this is not an unprecedented phenomenon. History consistently demonstrates that periods of significant structural change are almost invariably accompanied by widespread confusion and conflicting signals. New economic paradigms, technological revolutions, or shifts in global power rarely announce themselves with perfect clarity or a unified consensus. Instead, these transformative periods unfold gradually, often with considerable overlap. Old systems, though perhaps declining in relevance or efficiency, continue to function, albeit imperfectly. Simultaneously, nascent systems and emerging trends begin to take root and gain momentum. This prolonged period of overlap, where the old and the new coexist and compete, is precisely what generates mixed signals and often triggers strong emotional reactions. Think of past industrial revolutions, the advent of the internet, or major geopolitical realignments. Each brought with it a period of intense uncertainty, conflicting predictions, and a sense that the established rules no longer applied. Recognizing this historical pattern provides invaluable perspective. It helps us understand that the current confusion is a feature, not a bug, of a transitioning economy. This awareness allows us to approach the present with greater calm and a more analytical mindset, rather than succumbing to panic or frustration. This series exists not because we believe catastrophe is inevitable, but precisely because confusion is rising. Our aim is to provide a steady, calming voice amidst the economic din. We believe that understanding the underlying mechanisms of economic uncertainty is far more valuable than attempting to predict the unpredictable. Over the course of the upcoming episodes, we will systematically and calmly explain several key concepts. We will delve deeper into why economic data frequently conflicts, offering practical examples and analytical frameworks. We will explore how to interpret economic signals by distinguishing genuine trends from mere noise, helping you filter out the sensationalism. We will further elaborate on why uncertainty naturally increases during periods of transition, providing historical context and psychological insights. Ultimately, our goal is to equip you with the knowledge to stay oriented and grounded without relying on speculative forecasts. This series is about fostering a deeper understanding of economic dynamics, empowering you to make more informed decisions for your business, your investments, your studies, or your personal finances. The emphasis is on comprehension and clarity, not on urgency or fear. To truly navigate the current economic landscape with greater calm and clarity, a fundamental shift in perspective is required. Instead of constantly asking, "What does this mean for tomorrow?" or "What will happen next?" which often leads to anxiety and speculative thinking, we encourage a different, more grounded question. A calmer, more analytical approach involves asking, "What does this piece of information tell me about where we currently are in the economic cycle?" This subtle but powerful shift in inquiry immediately reduces emotional reactivity. It moves you away from the impossible task of predicting the future and towards the more achievable goal of understanding the present context. Economic understanding is not about speed or being the first to react. It is fundamentally about context. It's about piecing together disparate data points, understanding their limitations, and recognizing the broader economic forces at play. By focusing on context, you gain a more robust and resilient framework for interpreting news and making decisions. This approach empowers business owners to plan strategically, investors to assess risk more accurately, students to grasp complex concepts, and consumers to manage their finances with greater confidence. You now possess a crucial insight. Confusion itself is not a sign of personal failure, nor does it indicate a lack of intelligence or diligence on your part. Instead, it is often the very first signal that an economy is undergoing a significant transition. When established systems begin to shift and evolve, a temporary decline in clarity is an expected and natural consequence. Recognizing this fundamental principle provides a powerful foundation for how you engage with economic information moving forward. This perspective allows you to read headlines and reports with a more analytical and less emotional lens. You can avoid the common pitfall of overreacting to every piece of news, understanding that conflicting data is part of the process. Most importantly, this understanding enables you to remain grounded and make more rational decisions during periods of heightened uncertainty. This calm, contextual perspective is the bedrock upon which all further economic understanding will be built. Please like this video if you have enjoyed it or received any benefit from it. Every one of your likes truly encourages us to continue creating helpful content. Thank you for watching and have a blessed day.